What is yoga? Here in the West, people think yoga is only hatha yoga. The concentration here is just on hatha yoga, which are physical exercise, but it has a psychologically effect on the physiology that also includes great health benefits. But hatha yoga itself is full yoga. If you do hatha yoga by itself, you can reach all of the benefits of yoga, which is 200% of life, living in the kingdom of God here on earth. Yoga means union, okay? It means union, full union with the divine, full union with God. We are created in the image of God and the likeness of God. But most people, we only actually abide in 3 states of consciousness, which is the waking state of consciousness, that's when you're awake and you're active, whatever. The sleeping state of consciousness, when you're asleep, not conscious of anything. And the dreaming states of consciousness, when you're actually asleep and dreaming. There are other 4 states of higher consciousness available to us. And that is when you start operating on a level or start entering fully into the kingdom of God. And yoga is the key to actually reach those higher states of consciousness. In the scriptures, Arjuna had asked Lord Krishna, well, Lord Krishna, can you tell me what is the mark of such a being that's in higher states of consciousness? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit? And Lord Krishna said, whoever you are, that's who you are. It's not that if you become, enlightened, if you start living on higher states of consciousness, you're going to be different. It's not the outward difference, it's the inward difference. The inward difference being that you're definitely fully more than you was before, in that you have actually started or actually at the level where the highest states of consciousness is available to you. And those states of consciousness does not hinder your other states of consciousness, such as waking, dreaming, and sleeping states of consciousness. But in the West, like in America, Europe, and stuff like that, the main concentration is on hatha yoga. The benefits are very, 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 very real. I mean, you get healthy, you keep your body young and active and stuff like that. But even in hatha yoga, a lot of the hatha yogins here in the West, they don't go any deeper than just a physical exercise. To go deeper, you need to do meditation that would allow your consciousness to gain the benefits of the highest states of consciousness which is within. It's like the scientists, they just came up to one realization, which is true, that what we do, even sending man to the moon and all that, we only using 10% of our capacity, 10% of our brain capacity, 10% of our human potential. So if one becomes like fully mature, fully human, according to God, that's when we're fully human, when we're using 100% of our human potential. That being said, and it's also the nature of this consciousness, of your high states of consciousness, the nature is bliss. The nature is bliss. It's happiness. The nature is constant bubbling bliss, constant bliss. So, it's worth the endeavor to try to actually gain this high state of consciousness. And another thing, like Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, like, when you start on the path of yoga, just a little bit removes great fear. What is the greatest fear we have on this planet? Mortality. We fear that we only born here and pretty soon we're going to die, and what's going to happen? It's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. And Krishna knows that, so he says to Arjuna, let him know, when you start on the path of yoga, just a little bit of yoga, remove this great fear, the fear of death, the fear that you will never continue, the fear that you will end when the physical body. Krishna also states that where you left off, Krishna says, nothing is wasted. If you're on the path of yoga, nothing is wasted. So, say for instance, if you start on the path of yoga and you get sidetracked, you go back in the world doing your worldly things, whatever, and then, you expire, the body, reach its limit and, lay down and die, Krishna says nothing is lost, because when you start on the path of yoga, consciously start on the path of yoga, even if you haven't successfully reached the highest states of consciousness in that life that you started in your next life, you will have the opportunity to start back up again. He gives more detail. He states that you either if you was really seriously on the path of yoga, but you didn't reach the highest states of consciousness, in your next life, you'll either be born in a rich family. Not that being born in a rich family is good by itself, but what happens is, in such a situation, you will be removed from a lot of the day-to-day things of earning money and paying bills and stuff like that. And you will have the time and the resources to enter seriously on the path of yoga in your next life. So that's one of the situations if you haven't reached high states of consciousness in this life when you started yoga. Another thing that Krishna talks about is that also you can be born in a family of yogis. That means you're born with a parent that's a yogi, that's practicing yoga. Your mother, your father, say for instance Paramahamsa Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi. Such a birth. Both his parents are yogis. But he also says that birth, on such a birth on this planet is very rare, on planet Earth. For you to born in such a family where your mother's a yogi, your father's a yogi, and these, it's very rare on this planet. But that's also another birth that the soul, is able to take if they haven't accomplished reaching their goal in yoga on this planet. So to make a long story short, it's all gain, no losses. If you start yoga, you have nothing to lose. All gain, no loss. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing indeed.